Leaving Babylon. Article by Anna Von Reitz. What do you think Jesus was talking about when he threw the money changers out of the temple? Matthew 21:12-13. Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. "It is written," he said to them, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." What did Jesus mean by a synagogue of Satan? Jews who are not Jews. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Or when he rebuked the lawyers for not saving themselves, and also for standing in the way and preventing others from entering into salvation. Matthew 23:13. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those who enter who are trying to. Let those who have eyes see. Let those who have ears hear. This, what we are experiencing, is nothing new. This has been the problem for literally thousands of years. Bankers, Satanists, and lawyers, a trifecta of greed, evil, and protection of racketeering that endures because of our own ignorance. What do you think it means when you are told to come out of Babylon? Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice from heaven say, Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. You have to leave the jurisdiction of Babylon, which is now and has always been the international jurisdiction of the sea. This is where FDR plopped you and your trade name, both the vessel and the cargo, as of 1933. Pretend you're in the middle of an Exodus movie, with the Egyptian chariots on one side and the Red Sea on the other. Because that, whether you know it or not, is where you are, and the Egyptians are closing fast. At the last moment, a pathway has opened up. A narrow pathway out of Babylon. Surely we are out here fighting the good fight for you and for this whole country and everyone in it, but that may not be enough. Why? Because the public records have been falsified, and according to those false records, you have signed on and agreed to live and die as a Babylonian. Until you take control of your own name and your own estate and rebut these false records, and choose to leave Babylon for your own reasons and under your own power, who has the right to move you? Put another way, you have to hike up your own skirts and walk through the Red Sea all by yourself, even after the pathway is set before you. We are doing all we can, but you need to take action for yourself, for your own family, to write your own names in the Book of Life. Ever wonder what that means? Book of Life? Does it help to know that all the entities inhabiting the international jurisdiction of the sea, that is, in Babylon, are dead? Under the current scenario, you are listed as dead, presumed missing, and 3 dead corporate entities, a public trust, a public transmitting utility, and a public estate, are functioning in your name instead. Babylon is a dead world, and everyone in Babylon is dead. Not only that, they worship dead gods and gods of death. So when you elect to stay in Babylon, you are choosing to live as if you are already dead, to be counted among the dead, and to worship death. So is Babylon where you want to be? Or do you want to record your name in the Book of Life and live it to the full? The land is alive, and it's where we all live in truth and fact. Sailors may sail the sea and its endless, restless mirror of the sky, but it's not quite the same thing, is it? When we record our trade names and establish our permanent domicile on the land and soil, we are leaving Babylon behind, writing our names in the book of life, the records of the land jurisdiction where we belong and where we live and breathe. And who are the clerks of the county, the court, and the land recorder's office? They are the clerics, the high priests and priestesses, keeping the records of your choices in a religious system, in a system of law that took shape thousands of years before the Egyptians. So where is your name? Drifting around, listed as missing, presumed lost at sea. Your name literally is not written in the book of life, because it is not recorded among those people living on the land and soil of your country. Many thousands of homeless people and refugees have already been rounded up and killed, murdered, burned, drowned. It was easy for the monsters to do this, because according to the falsified public records, these people were already dead. Why are these criminals doing these things? Simple. They are killing off their creditors to avoid paying their own debts. The same thing they did in Nazi Germany. Remember the parable of the wide and the narrow path? Right now, those of you who are reading this are on the narrow path out of Babylon. No doubt that those on the wide path are looking at you funny and laughing and insulting you and accusing you of all sorts of things, even as they do with me. Shake off the dust, smile, and keep moving. We have reduced it down to the barest, simplest process to reclaim your political status and reinstate yourselves as living men and women. It's available for free at www.annavonreitz.com. Look toward the bottom of the page for the article number 928 called Basic Package of Editable Forms. I have shared the monumental work of others who compiled We the Sheeple versus the Bankers, in hopes that you will share it with the doubters in your own families and among your own friends, to open their eyes and save them, too. Jesus told us, Gandhi told us, JFK told us, MLK told us, the millions who died in all these senseless wars, they've all told us. And now you have first-hand testimony and accounts from 3 centuries worth of famous people and public officials from around the world bearing witness to this same truth. These are all people who had no reason to lie. It's time to leave Babylon. Place your names in the book of life, both in your family Bibles and in the public records of the land jurisdiction. Don't wait any longer. The Nazi swastika is the reversed image of the Aryan symbol for life and good luck. The swastika means death and bad luck, literally. And that's exactly what they, the British perpetrators of the Second World War, fully intended for the German people who were deceived by Hitler. Yes, they were at the bottom of that pile of dog dung too. This is an example of how these people think and how they operate. They planned the Second World War in 1877. They chose the swastika as the German emblem. They groomed Hitler every step of the way. They started the Reichstag fire. They arranged the bombing of Pearl Harbor. They sent FDR as their representative to the Geneva Conventions of 1930, where he sold this country down the drain. During the London Winter Olympics, I watched them in their neo-Druid robes marching silently around the giant effigy of a dead baby, and I knew exactly what it meant. They were placing a binding spell on the effigy, an effigy representing all the dead babies they had created on paper in America and Australia, in England and Scotland and Canada and Ireland and France and in Germany, yes, throughout the world. They were celebrating their lies and their fraud and their god of death and their dedication to eternal war. They were sealing, they thought, their final victory with a massive, solemn, public hexing ceremony akin to the witchcraft spellbinding rituals they used at Nazi political rallies. They were doing it right in front of their intended victims, so arrogantly self-assured that we would never recognize what they were doing and never take action against them, that they broadcast their evidence of their evil to the whole world. So, come out of Babylon, for its destruction is assured. Revelation 14:8. A second angel followed and said, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. Their gods are dead, in chains, or on the run. It's time to come out of the darkness into the fresh wind and the bright spring sun.